There's always been a certain type of gaming experience I've resonated with most when it came to multiplayer shooters, and that is the experience of having all the odds against you, yet somehow you end up being the last one standing. This can be due to many things: human error from the other side, external influences from the environment, or AI mobs deciding to save you despite also being your enemy. But it's nonetheless a powerful feeling when it happens, and it's a high I can't get enough of. What I have gotten enough of, however, are modern shooters that seek to eliminate this level of gameplay unpredictability in the pursuit of a balance that will never exist. They never throw any wrenches into the mix to make for some memorable moments. They will only allow the best of the best who play the game one way to feel like winners. That's not to say having finely tuned competitive shooters is a bad thing. Quite the opposite, in fact. There should always be a huge library of games for fair competition, allowing the pros to be pros. But somewhere along the way, this esports mentality became the standard that every shooter should aspire to be, forcing games that should have always been casual fun into cesspools designed to make you feel awful if you don't spend every second pushing yourself to be the top of the leaderboard. Hunt Showdown is a rejection of the modern shooter formula, and that's hammered home by the fact that it takes place long before the days of red dot sights, UAVs, and automatic weapons. There are way fewer gizmos to save you when you're cornered. You gotta rely more on quick decision making to make it out alive. The best thing about that approach is that though the enemy you're facing may be infinitely better at the game than you, which will be the case most of the time, there are still many ways to increase your odds. You can out-stealth the enemy, providing you have the patience. You can annoy the mobs near his position to keep him occupied while you use the opportunity to line up a shot. You can manipulate Hunt's notorious sound system by making the loudest sounds possible in an attempt to overwhelm the enemy. The point is, being the best gunman isn't the sole way to win fights in Hunt Showdown. There are many videos on this site discussing all the things this game does well, and not so well. It's usually from a game mechanics standpoint only. As always, I like to take a different approach. If you've played a multiplayer shooter for hundreds of hours like I have, it's easy to become desensitized to the superficial aspects like the style, atmosphere, world building, and little details that go into these games. Yet I never felt like that with Hunt. Maybe it's a slower pace of movement compared to other shooters, or maybe because Hunt is one of the most unique looking games I've ever played. You got that golden glow aesthetic straight out of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, combined with the swamps of 1800s Louisiana, covered with a Wild West coat of paint. And sure, add some elements of Eldritch horror in there too, why not? How does something like this get pitched in a boardroom meeting? Even if you don't adore these elements as much as I do, you will still find yourself stopping every once in a while, just to appreciate the incredible detail and art style on display here. The visual style combined with the unrivaled sound system makes this experience ridiculously immersive. And I believe that's one of the main reasons this game is so tense. You become so paranoid at every little sound, and those windows in the distance become so intimidating because you just never know who's lining up a shot on you. Only Crytek makes something as simple as adding rain in the latest update feel like a massive event and game changer. Crytek could have phoned it in with a simple rain overlay, but no, they went all out, adding rain effects to roofs, items, puddles, and it even alternates between light drizzle and heavy rain at certain points of the match, which actually affects strategic gameplay because you could use the changing weather to your advantage. It's a dream addition for someone like me who loves this game's atmosphere so damn much. It's really telling that I was more ecstatic for the addition of rain than I was of the Gator boss. Not to say I don't love Rotcha, she's a really fun boss and really uniquely designed. But rain, man, the goddamn rain. I know there are a certain group of players who prefer the more materialistic updates such as more loot, weapons and mobs, but once again Crytek has shown that they care more about creating a diamond in the rough rather than chase the trends that made the rough in the first place. It took many years, but it's finally paying off for them too. This event brought the Steam player count to a new peak, and it only increases every year. With that increase in players comes crazier events. Plus we're getting an updated version of Hunt, brought up to date with the latest Cry engine, making it abundantly clear the Hunt ain't going nowhere anytime soon. If you ever feel like you get the hang of this game, you'll be humbled very quickly. Even now, with 600 hours on console and 100 on PC, I still feel that ridiculous tension, especially when I'm battling an enemy I can't see. If you love games like Outlast or Alien Isolation, this game provides that same kind of tension. Now, if you're the type of player who likes to blame all their life's woes on the millisecond of server lag a game gives, then stay well away from this game. It'll only frustrate you more. If you begin treating this game like an esport, then you'll only blind yourself to what the game actually offers. Don't beat yourself up if you can't make those shots in the early game. It's like I said before, there are many other ways to achieve victory, thanks to how unpredictable each encounter is. Hunt punishes you for sticking with one playstyle, so you must be willing to adapt on the fly. Growing up with COD, I realized that I will always prefer game modes where killing is the side goal, not the main focus, which is probably why I spent most of my time in Domination or Battlefield's Conquest mode. Hunt is an extraction shooter, so the goal is to kill bosses, collect a bounty token, and get out of there alive while the rest of the server converges on your location. It gives you the choice of killing rather than forcing you to win solely by that. Running is just as valuable an option as staying put trying to defend yourself. I will always prefer making the choice myself, rather than being told what to do preemptively. You're battling with your own lust for kills, just as much as you're battling your enemies. With fights as thrilling as these, it's difficult to resist, even for someone like me who generally prefers to get out with the goods ASAP. There's plenty of personality here too, with little jokes and secrets hidden sporadically across the map. I had the biggest grin on my face when I was in this building preparing for a shootout, and noticed a chalkboard that looked very familiar. I quickly realized it was the same chalkboard and sketch that was in Back to the Future Part 2. My mind was blown even further when I realized that that wasn't the only reference to Back to the Future, when I stumbled upon an isolated building, complete with the DeLorean itself. Now, as someone who was expecting the DeLorean to show up as an Easter egg in Red Dead 2, and was very disappointed when it wasn't there, this moment was truly something else. I found some other cool stuff too, like a UFO, amongst other things, but there are still plenty of secrets out there that I haven't found yet, and damn, this kind of passion is just so refreshing. No corporate overlord was like, "Here Crytek, make this niche 1800 style extraction shooter that will only attract a small player base." This was a passion project born from a unique vision, and I feel that alone should be valued, even if you don't care about the game. Crytek have even made this game's monetization system less and less egregious as time has gone on. And not because of mass fan backlash, there wasn't really that much outcry. No, they just decided to do it to make the game better, just because. The game's fantastic soundtrack was developed in-house at Crytek also, so they clearly treat the game like it's their baby. Even more so than the franchise that put them on the map, Crysis. And why shouldn't they? The game is unlike any others that have come out before or since. The best thing is, they haven't gotten comfortable and lazy, they're still experimenting and taking risks. Last Christmas, instead of doing what they did in prior years by adding a Christmas version of the main theme, and adding some lights and trees across the map, they set up an event in which huge chunks of the map were set ablaze. Now after this new event centered around Rotjaw and rain, it's difficult to predict what crazy events they'll come up with in the future. Personally, I'd love it if they dove more into the weather dynamics, particularly snow. Despite my efforts to the contrary, it seems my fanboyism over this game has taken over the second half of this video, so let's try and bring this down to earth. The truth is, Hunt Showdown is a difficult game. It's heavily rewarding as it is punishing. There will be frustrations, especially with those who lack patience for stealth and strategy. If you tend to throw your controller or slam your keyboard at the slightest inconvenience, this game will break you. If you obsess over balance so much that you cannot accept a situation where you don't have full control, then this isn't the game for you either. There's a steep learning curve to grasping everything this game offers. Even with my 700 hours, I'm still finding new things. The difference here is, learning new things in this game feels amazing compared to others. It rewards you for experimenting and exercising your "what if I do this" thoughts. The community is shockingly decent too, at least with the diehard fans. Obviously there are some bad apples, they're going to be everywhere. It's a part of life. But the regulars are generally very polite, chilled out, and affirmative when the balls start flying.
Good shot.
Good fucking shot.
It's funny because usually the players that you can tell are new and come from other shooters, they are the most obnoxious. Take this guy for example. He got no kills and was down by one of my teammates. His teammates were the ones actually getting the kills. They revived him and he began teabagging my down teammate who he didn't kill. He was so busy teabagging, he didn't notice me climbing the ladder and then he got punished for it. Crytek made it so that if you spam crouch or try to bunny hop, your movement is impaired for a few seconds, so it got me some sweet justice. It's little touches like that that go a long way. So despite some big issues there and some technical problems that show up every now and again, what are you left with? A game with an incredible art style, fun and visceral combat that rejects the shooter formula, uniquely designed bosses and AI mobs requiring different methods to kill, an unmatched sound system making hearing an actual asset to combat, unpredictable and intense gameplay that gets your heart pumping like a survival horror game. an abundance of weapons that are brimming with history and detail, fun little secrets referencing great movies. What else? Oh yes, events that will continue to shake up the game in the future. If at least one of these elements makes you curious about the game, then please give it a try. Don't be like me, scared off for years because of how intimidating it sounded. It's always going on sale on Steam, Xbox and PSN. So why not give it a try if you're clamoring for something fresh in the FPS genre? Thanks for sticking around. See you next time.